we are back to this. I think it's looking super good, and I'm excited to see what happens. Now, let's test the shelves. I might need to adjust them a little bit. Yeah, so this one's a little bit too, could probably squeeze it in. It's a little too wide. So you may, worst case scenario, you may have to sand a little bit of this off in order to slide it in. Let's check whether it's square. So this is how I square any kind of square or rectangle structure. I just made sure that it's the same one way diagonally as it is on another. In this case, it's 19 and 1/8. And we're like pretty much spot on. So you can see, I don't know if you can get a hint there, 19, just a bit more than 19. And same on this side. Just a bit more than 19. Maybe a 19 3/16 minus. Let's try the top panel. Oh no, I guess the bottom would make the most sense. Let's do the bottom. So these were from the past. I'm not sure if these will still work, because there's just some old ones I had laying around. You know what? They might be okay. They might be okay. Yeah. So let's flip that around. Because these old ones, some of this material is from the new cuts, which is just ever so slightly different. So I just want to make sure that it works well. You know what? That's fine. That's going to be just perfect. So we're going to start with the, and I'm going to leave that there just as like a reference point. In fact, I'll probably start from this one. Yeah, I'll start from this one. And I'm going to use the 5/8 brad nails. So let's do that now. We'll load it up with 5/8. And yeah, I like it on the side because it kind of makes it level because of the ground there. And I'm just gonna kind of make sure it's perfectly flat. You know, that looks pretty darn good. And I'm inserting the brad nails on the edge because we're then going to use some sort of edging to cover that hole or that kind of mark there up. And the nice thing with 5/8 is that it won't go through the material. I still do it a bit at an angle, but yeah, it won't go through the material, which is nice. Now watch out here, there's a gap there. That's the gap for the side buttons of the Surface Pro, so it needs to be a gap there. Don't insert any brad nails there because, well, there's nothing to grab onto, but we can certainly insert brad nails up above here. Perfect. What a success, guys. Looking good. Same with the channels. You don't want to have any brad nails in the channels because they will stick out there. And obviously, that's no good. You see, we have our first panel almost done. I don't overdo it with the brad nails because, again, when everything is said and done, it'll just hold itself together pretty well. And you'll see that in a bit. You don't want to get too close to the edge. I kind of risked it there, and it bulbous out just a tad. And this one needs a good wiping. Sometimes this puckboard, I notice it gets a little staticky, especially right after cutting with all the sawdust, and then you know, all these like tiny little hairs or carpet fibers or whatever it is stick onto it. So it's nice to give it like a wet wipe, and that actually prevents it quite well. I know there's also anti-static things with electronics. There's anti-static tables and boards of sorts, which is always an interesting thing to do. Now let's do the other side. I hope you're having as much as fun as I am tonight, Thursday night, which is basically Friday, November 11th tomorrow, which is of course Remembrance Day. So perhaps you're watching in the future. Okay. U.S. midterms are on right now too. Oh, it's kind of fun. I try to stay out of politics. And just making conversation as we brad nail this, obviously. So far, so good. No mistakes. Maybe I'm speaking too soon. Always be careful. Remember, always wear safety glasses. I'm kind of a cool dude, but I've learned my lesson. It is well worth the... Let's say, if you really think it doesn't make you look cool, well, you won't be looking cool when you have one eye. I suppose pirates are pretty cool, but anyhow, we're digressing here. So those are the edges, looking absolutely fantastic. Let's get the bottom and the top puck boards on there. Okay. Time for the top puck board. It's already progressing into a nice looking photo booth. But you see why the enclosures cost quite a bit of more. I mean, there's just quite a bit of labor time that goes into them. And in general, that's really the thing with photo booths, is kind of the labor time. There you go, looking good. Looking great, I would say. Especially if it's your first time doing it, you know, that's why I'm making these videos, so that, well, you can just buy a photo booth and follow along. Or sorry, buy a kit, probably the easiest way to get into this. Follow along, much as you want, as little as you want. Or hey, if you're feeling lucky, just do it yourself and follow along. We don't mind that too. However much you're comfortable with, obviously. Glad you're joining us if you are watching. Wow. Okay, so this is the right side up like this. And honestly, this is getting exciting. Now let's put the last... And, you know, I clean these up for the kits as best as I can. Sometimes it frays just a little bit. But it doesn't matter because, again, we are adding edging. So that's all going to be hidden. Also, when you go to the store, this is a tip. There's going to be puckboard there to purchase. You really don't want to get, like, the top sheet because it might be bent a bit too much. And make sure that's scratched up. Some of these puck boards, you go to these places where they sell plywood, like a hardware store, and they really scratch the surfaces up. So you don't want to scratch stuff smooth. Again, this is our home plate. It's gonna go like that, right? Look how good that looks. Look how good that looks. And this was really the key to all of this, having the exact right dimensions. Yeah, this was the key to it. And if you want to save a lot of money, we also sell the plants for like $40 or something like that. Just under, I think. I don't know. Etsy prices are weird too because we're from Canada, so like when they convert it. Anyhow, this was really the kind of the hard part. And I really, for this piece, I really try to choose puck boards that don't have any scratches on them. There's like very minute ones, but it's generally pretty good. And of course, even when I'm installing it, I try to choose the side that's kind of the most smooth. Yeah, anyhow, let's get going. I'm rambling way too much. You just want to get to it. I get it. I get it. I should really have this as a live stream. The problem with live streams, it's not a big problem. Oops. But I do get a little bit, like what if you make a mistake? You can't cut that out. I know, it's cheating. Very rarely, like, you're gonna have one piece that's just sticking out a little bit. But that's fine. It's not live, right? I'm just, I'm taking these two. Okay, we're back. Kind of the front part, as flush as possible. And again, these grooves are going to be at the front and at the bottom. And then, yeah, we just put this on. Pops right into place. And just align it down. It's not going to be perfect, right? So the bottom is less visible, but you want it to lie flat. I got really lucky with this one. Like, we're almost maybe 1/16ths off. But other than that, it's perfect. You can always sand down like a little edge. It's hard to get it absolutely perfect because you can imagine, like, it depends how you square it, exactly where you place it. There could be some issues. And here I really tried to, where are my safety glasses? Here I really tried to do it close to the edge. And again, watch out. You don't want to do it here because that's exactly where there's nothing below. So I'm doing it lower down. See, it shifted it a bit, but that's okay. That's okay. Shift it back. That's okay. Just a bit there. As long as it... That's okay. Everything's good. Perfect. A little bit on this side. See, I almost messed up there. There's a channel there, right? So you guys gotta watch out. I'm just gonna like pop this out just a tad, maybe like at 30 seconds. 1/32 of an inch. Got it anyway. Very good. So you can see I'm doing it really close. Like, it's kind of tricky here because I don't want to be too close. It's gonna bounce out if it's too close here. And safety glasses. Look at me. So I don't know if you can get a good angle there, but I'm doing it about like that, and you can see. And then of course we use 1/2 inch trim, so any of that is going to be covered like fairly well, just fine. No. No worries. That edging is going to clean it right up. Look at that. Look at that. Maybe a couple more down here, you know, because like it is the face, so you do want it to be fairly tight. And look, you know, I can grab it like that, and it's just fine. Wait until you get that edging on. It's going to be absolutely fine. And there you have it. Now, let's do the back really quick. Probably do a bit more around here, but maybe one over here. Hold on for a second. That broad nail there, it just didn't have quite enough air, so let's add a little bit of air to the compressor. I actually had it off because I like to have it at a certain PSI. Yeah, I like to have it at around 110 PSI. I think that one taps out. It's adjustable, but it taps out around 125 right now. Anyhow, now, I made one fatal flaw in the last cut I made, which was I readjusted the channels ever so slightly, but I forgot that these grooves here are, well, important for those channels. And, well, actually they still line up miraculously. So we're okay. I thought I might have to trim them a little bit, but no, they line up. Now, not perfectly. I readjusted it slightly. Now again, this one, I don't know what happened for the CNC. I can't rent that one, but I can certainly install it. And of course we have others good to go to rent here. But this one, I'm gonna use for myself. That trim is gonna cover this, no problem, so it's not a big deal. What I might do is just put a bead of glue there. Essentially, there's just a bit of a gap, like there's material missing here. You can see here it's fine, and then it looks like the bit went, it got pushed in somehow. And it makes sense because when the router is cutting this, I mean, it's only working with like very thin, you know, you gotta hold this down so it doesn't, so that's actually tricky. I'm impressed that they did that, honestly. And now here when I'm doing this, I gotta watch out, because if I have a rough table, I don't want it to scratch that. Now the nice thing is the edging in the future, once it's on, and if you put it down like that, the puckboard face is not actually going to touch the ground, no matter where it's going. The only thing that's going to be touching the ground is that edging. And we'll get into the edging later on. So, let's do the back side. I'm just going to do one for now. And why am I doing one? Mostly because of the fulcrum effect. I want to do one, then move this one in position, then move the next one into position. Because there's a bit of... That way I can just control everything, no rush. See, I made a mistake. Thank goodness this is at the bottom. I didn't angle it enough. My mistake. That's definitely my mistake. Now, that's fine. The edging will mostly cover that, and then it'll just be a little bit of a thing sticking up there. Perfect. And maybe over here. And so up here you can see there's maybe like an eighth, up to an eighth, just less I would say, right there. But that's fine because, again, once we got that edging on there, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. It's nice. I'm a perfectionist. It's nice. What we're going to do also in a later video is we're going to take this door and hinge it with rivets. I'm going to introduce you to rivets because that's something that, now you don't have to use rivets. You can use bolts and nuts, but we're going to use a hinge just like here, and it'll perfectly slide into place. It goes down. That way it's, oh, you know what? I forget why down was the right way to do it. Oh, because it was hard to hinge with these tabs here. Like, where are you going to hinge it? You see the tabs, like, unless it's on the tabs, the hinge point, otherwise it just doesn't work because it, like, widens here. But here, the gap will stay the same, and it's just fine. But here, if there was a hinge, well, that gap widens. So the only place for a hinge would be that, and they really don't make hinges that small. I mean, I'm sure you can find something specialized, but then there's nothing to, like, there's no body to really latch on. Here, there's a perfect place for a hinge, and I'll show you how we do that. It's kind of neat, and it's not that difficult. And if you've never used rivets, well, this is an awesome introduction to rivets. But again, you can use bolts as well, screws, whatever works for you. And I've seen people just use tape. I've seen people not even have the back in and then just cover it with like a piece of tape or something, you know, or cloth and tape. It doesn't have to be fancy, but we're gonna do it a little bit fancy, and we'll show you how it's done. But otherwise, there you go. That's pretty much the enclosure, including the back door there. If you're buying the enclosure kit, this is what comes out of it. There's still a lot of work here, and we're gonna do the work. If you buy the kit, you can follow along all the way to the end. So I hope you find value there as well. Just wanted to wrap up the last video. There you have the enclosure. And today, for the next part, or actually not today, well, it is gonna be today for me, perhaps not for you, but for part 3, we're gonna be making the trim for the photo booth. And then we're gonna go into the holes for the top and the bottom, then the shelving, then the interior components. We're hoping it's gonna be like a 10-part series. And hopefully by the end of it, you have an awesome functioning booth. So join us for part 3.